Cool. So thanks everyone for joining. It's a pleasure to host you all, and we'll try and help you as best as we can through these challenging times. For the next 5 days, we're going to host a series of these webinars all about sales and marketing challenges that we're all currently facing and how to overcome them. Just a heads up that on Friday and Monday in the UK, we have public holidays, so the final talk will be on the following Tuesday. The format of these will be presentations from the guest speakers plus Q&A. So feel free to ask any questions at any time throughout the chat. If the speaker can answer them during the session, they will. If not, I'll take a note of them and we'll ask them at the end where there'll be further chance for Q&A. I don't want to stand between you and the content, so we'll jump straight in. Today, I'm really excited that we have Yaniv from Vidyard on. I've had the pleasure of hearing Yaniv speak before. He knows a ton about video. He's super enthusiastic, so I'm delighted he's going to kick off these series of webinars. So without any further delay, over to you, Yaniv.
Yes, thank you. It seemed like, Ricky, like you were looking at me from the side. Over to you.
Yeah,
Nice.
I've got two screens going. I've got one with the chat comments and one with the video on it.
Nice one, nice one. It felt like you're doing like a virtual pass-off. That's nice. Hi, everybody. Nice to meet everybody here. I'm very excited to kick off this Digital 22 webinar series. Today, focusing on the first talk track, which is the use of video. And I'm going to share my screen in a moment. I'm going to basically share 6 examples of videos that you can start creating today for free and within 3 clicks, all with the intention of, in this world we're in, everybody's at home, we can't meet each other face to face. So communicating via video is basically the next best thing. All right. So what we're going to try to do is inspire you to start using video throughout your buyer's journey and throughout the funnel. Actionable tips and tricks to get started with that. I see, Ricky, I think the screen might have frozen, just making sure that I can still be heard okay?
Yeah, you're spot on. You cut off for a couple of seconds, but it came straight back on.
Oh, it came straight. Let me know if it cuts or for any reason, then I might switch internet.
I certainly will. Cheers, Yaniv.
Thank you, thank you. Perfect. So everybody, I hope we can all see the Digital 22 website. I'm immediately going to go into our webinar for today. And what I would like to do is to get started with a few questions. So I'm going to do a poll. I wanted to ask Ricky, did you by any chance have a poll ready, or should I go through the slides?
I probably do them through the slides. I did give it a go in the webinar software. I put them in, but I can't even see how you start a webinar in here. So apologies for that.
No worries.
But yeah, we're doing the slides, mate.
That's completely fine. That's completely fine. Okay, so what we're going to do today, if I can get these slides moving, because that takes a moment always here in Zoom. I'll be sharing my screen regardless, so it doesn't really matter. We can go into this mode as well. So what we're going to be doing, just for everybody to know, I'm a strategic project manager with Vidyard. I work very closely with Digital 22. So once again, very excited to get started with you. Before I share my agenda, 3 poll questions to ask, and I will ask everybody to put their answer in the chat pane if they can. Question number 1 for everybody in the poll. How often does your company publish video content to prospective customers today? Please type in your answer. More than once a week on average, once or twice per month, or less than once per month. We'll immediately see who's, okay, great. Thanks, Philip. Nice to see you there, Paul. Once a week, once or twice a month, more than once. First video got posted today, less than once a month, fantastic. Less than once a month. All right, let's give a couple more moments. Perfect. We have a good mixed bag of answers, anywhere ranging between once a week to less than once a month. So that's really great. And we're going to look at how you can actually accelerate, start using it. I say people say every day, which is fantastic. So we see a good mixed bag, and I want to give you some ideas of how to use it more effectively. If you're already creating a lot of videos, and if you're not, how to start in a very low barrier with very little cost, actually for free. producing more video content. Second question, second poll question to ask everybody here, and I'm actually going to do something here, and I realized that it's in, I'm gonna put it in A, B, C, D, F. That's a better way. So question number 2, what prevents you from using more video in your communication strategy today? For the people that are not using video, you can type in just the letter A, B, C, D, E, or F. Take your moment to read through it and give your answer in the chat pane. All right. C, F, B, C, some C's there, an A, a B, a C. Fair enough. Let's see if we can give a couple more people time. Okay, BCF, I like that, Seb. Nice. B, some Fs. Okay. Once again, a very good blend across the board of every letter, from being too expensive to takes too much time, or we don't have the resources in-house, we don't know or have enough content to create it around, or my prospective customers don't engage, and other as well. Just curious for whoever wrote other. And then some of you put an F in. Can you just type in real quickly? What is another reason why you might not use video more often in your communication strategy? You can write in a sentence or two before we move to the last question. Anna Marie says, agreeing on strategy and content, right? So internal conversation on what should we actually do and how does this fit in the strategy? Some people say they're too busy. Fair enough. Never really thought, considered it, new to the company, right? So there's a lot of reasons outside other these answers. This is great. The reason, okay. Used it regularly up until a recent event. Now we don't know how to approach the market. Very good. So we can actually look at how to approach it in this market that we're in right now. Before we dive into agenda, the final question, and once again, I'm gonna just adjust it really quickly here. So it's A, B's, and C's instead of blocks here. So if you were to start a video project today, what kind of video project would that be? A product demo, B, a webinar, C, sales video, D, a testimonial, E, an explainer tutorial, F, an update video, or G, something completely different. All right, there's a lot of ideas there. A and E, A, B, D, and E. Any other people have thoughts? Nice. E, F, A, B, and E. A, B, C, D, E, F. Claire, nice. Everything there. All right, definitely not C, sales video. Fair enough. Would be interested to understand a bit more. Obviously, given where we're in this scenario right now, it might not make sense to sell. So I get that. Very good. So a lot of people have been given answers here. So these questions were just here for you to really start thinking, and it's a mixed bag from everybody. And we're gonna tackle most of these things throughout the webinar on reasons why you might not be using it or what types of videos you can consider, okay? So what we're gonna do today in terms of an agenda, all right? First of all, we're gonna talk briefly about why video, and especially now, for you to really have some thoughts on why right now it is a very good time, even given obviously these tough circumstances that a lot of us are in, to consider communicating with video. Then secondly, we're gonna look at what we call do-it-yourself videos throughout the buyer's journey, okay? Thirdly, we're gonna look at some examples, 6 to be precise. Then once again, and some of you might have seen that in at Love Inbound, but I just wanna reiterate how you can get started doing all these types of examples with 3 easy clicks for free, okay? And then we can start looking at the last piece, how to actually use impact of measuring who is engaging with that in your marketing strategy. And finally, for the brave ones who are willing to put their Hollywood skills to the test, we'll put a little contest in the end for you to create a video and send to us with some call to action that will actually give you some nice price as a thank you for that. All right, so let's get started with why video, and especially now. So before we talk about why video in general, I just wanted to highlight a very interesting point, and some of you might have seen this, and well, we're all victims to this right now, specifically the ones of us that have children and need to keep them busy, right? Netflix, YouTube, all the streaming services are basically showing record level of growth in video communication. But it's not just obviously to entertain family and friends and colleagues. We're actually seeing across the board, and you don't have to read through all of these, but we're seeing that video consumption is soaring all over the place, right? All other types of visual communication right now basically are converging to communicate with video. Most of it obviously is in B2C, but what that immediately means is that there is an opportunity for us to match the way people are now consuming content as a primary way, which is video, to match that and put that in our business perspective as well, right? And for the ones that remember at Love Inbound, and I also will mention it again right here, if the majority of us are constantly on Netflix, on YouTube, right, on the Disney Channel, and in a B2B looking, scrolling through LinkedIn, etc., we're constantly primed for video, constantly consuming video, okay? So we should definitely match the consumption of what we're doing ourselves on a day-to-day basis to the way we as companies are communicating with our customers right now, right? Empathy and crisis communication and showing real empathy for your customers is great, but the best way for us to do that is in an actual video way and showing that we're humans and communicating in that way, which is the exact same way that people are communicating and consuming our content right now in video, okay? I still see too much of a gap there between the way people are consuming video day to day and the way we can actually use it in our B2B. So we're going to start looking throughout the funnel in a variety of examples of how we can actually start using more video throughout these specific crisis times. In general, regardless of the whole situation that we are in, a lot of us as marketers and salespeople, we already know that video is important for our business. Okay, so this is various data that we produce on a yearly basis. And the first thing that I want to highlight some attention to, which is connected to this, is basically the first stat here that says 86% of marketers are already using video in their online strategy. So when we go back to the poll of how much video you're already sending, right? Many of you are already either doing it daily, once a week, twice a week. Some of you said obviously not as much as you want, but most of you are already using video in a B2B setting, okay? Secondly, and this is tied into what we just looked at, internet traffic without the situation that we're in is already coming from video as the major point of content, okay? So we need to match the way people are consuming content, which is visual content, and make that a central piece of our marketing, sales, and service strategy. And we're going to look at an example in a moment. Marketers then also say that video converts better in terms of generating leads. Obviously now it's a tough time to think about conversions, but in broader times, we're looking at video being a very engaging piece to drive leads. Then a very important piece is that customers say that video helped them make buying decisions. Once again, in this scenario, that might be less relevant, but because people are still consuming video content, definitely creating visuals to help make people make buying decisions is very powerful. And the last piece, which is connected to what I talked about back at Love Inbound in Clitheroe, is that 41% of businesses are already starting to use video in their sales communications, right? And specifically now, when salespeople can't meet prospects or potential or existing clients face-to-face, right? And we can't be on Zoom calls 8 hours a day, which I'm sure some of you already are doing, right? And we get Zoom or conference call tired. We need to find also ways in the way we communicate with prospective and existing customers with video. And this is still relatively new. In this data, by the way, comes from the States, so it's 41%. In Europe, this percentage is way lower. And we're going to look again at some examples of how you can start using this. So to summarize, why video, right? One, because we're in these times right now, we can't communicate obviously face-to-face. We can't go to meetings, right? So human interaction via video is the next best thing, right? Secondly, because we are in this confined scenario, we are consuming more video than we would do before, right? A lot of it in the B2C space, but there is no reason that we can't serve these customers in the B2B space as well, okay? And thirdly, a lot of you as marketers and salespeople know already the power of video in your marketing and sales strategy, and have already to some degree incorporated it into it, okay? So then if we talk about what prevents us from using more video in our strategy, right? To loop it back once again to the question that I asked in the poll, right? Some people say we don't have enough time. Some people say it's too expensive. Others say we don't have enough videos. Video is not for our target market. We don't have enough content. We don't have the human resources, okay? And all of these elements are valid, right? But what I want to start showing and introducing to you is a better way of using video and creating video throughout your marketing, sales, and service activity. And it basically is called DIY video, do it yourself video, okay? Why is it so effective? And we'll look at some examples. One, super cheap to free to actually do it, except for your time that you spend in it. Two, it's super easy to make and create. Third, it's extremely fast to create these videos. Fourth, it has very high impact because we can measure how people are interacting with those videos on a human and on a one-to-one and a one-to-many level. And it doesn't matter if you're in a B2B space, in the B2C space, or a B2G, being government space. It's all B2H, business to human. Or actually better said, H to H, human to human, right? And do-it-yourself video is the best way to create that genuine, trustworthy connection that right now is such an important thing to do while people are struggling business-wise and in their private lives as well, to actually show empathy and show your face as a business, right? To actually connect and show that you are there to support in any way that you can, okay? A second thing to consider before we start diving into the consideration, right? Like, okay, do it yourself, but some of you might say, well, that doesn't fit in business, right? Or a B2B setting, or in a more formal setting, or in the industry that I am. Do know that the most popular video on YouTube right now are homemade cat videos, okay? So our bar of what we find amusing and watched by the billions in the world are homemade cat videos, okay? And we watch this daily like crazy as humans, okay? So the reason why I'm showing this, obviously, because if we actually love to make these and we actually watch these by the millions and billions of people, we can definitely create DIY, do-it-yourself videos in a business setting as well that are useful, entertaining, and connecting in a real human way, okay? So that's a funny analogy because I think it's actually very true, okay? So let's look at some examples here. First of all, we're gonna look at 5 do-it-yourself video example for all customer-facing teams in marketing, sales, and service, right? So if you look at the buyer's journey, right, and a lot of you already know that. Officially, we're in a flywheel, right? But for here, I'm choosing a journey to applicate, to show how this works. In the attract phase, right, there's a lot of videos that we can create. In the educate phase, in the convert phase, and in the retention, or in the delight phase within HubSpot terms. And we're going to look at examples of each of these. So we're going to start with in the attract and educate space. 2 examples to actually look at. Example number 1, right? Let's actually have a look at how many people we are here. Okay, so example number 1 is network communication. Okay, so you probably all saw Ricky's nice and smiling face on LinkedIn inviting you to this webinar. He also put that video on the webinar page in the communication to actually come to this specific webinar. And we're seeing that video communication, not just for webinars, but one-to-many video communications in your email, in your social, on your landing pages, and on your main pages are working exceptionally well. This webinar and this series that we created, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ricky, this was basically stamped out of the ground within a few days, right?
Yeah, 100% right. I think turnaround was within 2 days. So literally shot a video, created a landing page, and good to go. So yeah, completely proves that video works, to be fair.
It does, right? And immediately we have nearly 40 of us here in this session, right? Purely with something that Ricky communicated because we want it, right? And Digital 22 wants to be helpful in these difficult times, right? And wants to inspire you and start seeing opportunities in the situation that we're all in. And he used his own face in a really genuine way to communicate. And I would urge to a lot of you to start doing the same. right? And some of you see this when you scroll through LinkedIn, right? The messages that are sent by CEOs or by leaders, right? Where they actually show their face and they talk about what's happening and they talk about their empathy. Those get shared a lot, they get liked a lot, right? And you can get a message across and how you can be helpful and drive people to actually engage with you, which is exactly what we're seeing in action right now. Okay, very, very powerful. We can create this video in a minute or two, like Ricky did. Okay, and we'll look at that tool again, which is Vidyard's free tool to actually create this video. Okay, so that's example number one. Then example number two, and obviously a lot of you know this as well, we don't have live events or offline events, if you will, right, or live events. We now need to look for alternative ways to actually start hosting our events on online and our webinars. So not just webinars, but any type of online event, be it a breakfast, right, or a training or a inspiration session. Everything needs to be online right now. And this again ties into what Ricky was just saying. We actually see across the board companies that are adopting this right now getting way more engagement and response doing these types of webinars and online events than they would be doing after spending a lot of money, time, and effort on these offline events that we're trying to generate, right? We're seeing, first of all, we're seeing higher turnout rates on average, okay? We see that from a cost perspective, it's way cheaper and way less time consuming, right? This was all done in a week's time creation. This whole webinar series that Digital 22 is now doing in a week's time, offering all this expert advice, was created within a week's time, okay? Thirdly, we can actually create multiple sessions and derivative content, right? So this session is being recorded, which will then be made on demand, available for all of you when, you know, you want to switch off Netflix and watch something else, right? The whole idea is that we can create an on-demand environment for people that can't be at a specific live event, but do want to be able to consume the content, which is something that we can't really do on an offline event. It's much tougher to do that in an effective way without it being super costly as well, right? A second piece is that because we start getting insight into how many people are watching our webinar content or our online content, we can start creating derivative content very easily. So we would see some of our customers and also our partners create webinar content and then chop it up into vlogs, or chop it up into email content, or chop it up into other types of engagement content, top of the funnel social media, or more bottom of the funnel, maybe sales enablement content. So what happens is that the residual value is not residual anymore. It's actually becomes a centerpiece of your marketing strategy afterwards, which is so much tougher to do after you've had an offline event, okay? And finally, what's very important is that we can start measuring the impact and see, okay, what is actually working in our communication that we're doing in our webinars and our events? Are people watching something 100%? Are they rewatching specific pieces? Someone's rewatching a specific piece of a webinar, and multiple people are doing that. Maybe that specific piece of content is very interesting and relevant, and we should create another webinar around that, or derivative content, blogs and vlogs based on that specific content. Okay, so these are just some thoughts of where to use webinars, and there's a bunch of ways you can do this. So I just wanted to show you an example that we put together, okay? So this is a very simple branded sharing page, okay? Which is a pre-hosted webinar on top of it, pre-recorded. In this case, it's a gated one. So if I press play, a form will pop up. You don't have to necessarily do that, right? But basically, this is a video that you can create with your camera, right? So you can literally, if I was doing this webinar right now, right? I could literally use Vidyard right now to just use the Vidyard tool and record this whole session and then put it up on a branded sharing page as an on-demand piece of content, literally walking through the slides in the same way I'm doing right now. Doesn't cost anything, but you immediately have webinar content that you can make available on demand. Now, what we've seen a couple companies do, I think just as a caveat, this might be a limitation with free tooling, but I still want to show it because it's very cool, is that some of these are putting this on-demand webinar content that they record themselves with the free tool and combining it with chat functionality. The chat functionality is live. So the webinar can be pre-recorded where you have complete control of how you make it, okay? And then you can say in the beginning of the webinar, hey, we have our people answering live questions right here underneath in the chat, and they will then answer questions. So you can schedule times with pre-recorded content of a long time ago that you can use maybe 3 months later again, and then make it live again by actually just having people answering questions on the chat without having to do the whole thing over and over again. Talking about repurposing content, okay? And talking about making it a live experience. So you can say, hey, it's 1 p.m. We're running this live webinar. You just have a pre-recorded webinar playing, but because the chat is live and people are saying, hey, welcome to the webinar and welcome to this specific functionality, it seems like it's a completely live environment, okay? This is especially relevant if you want to repeat content or webinars that have been going really well, but you still want to keep it interactive. Very powerful stuff, and easy to build out as well. Okay, so I definitely thought it would be worthwhile to show this. Okay, so now we looked at 2 examples on the attract and the convert phase. 1, communicate with your network. Show your face, be empathetic, invite people to see if we can get value in the same way that we're trying to do and give you here as well. And then secondly, use your webinar and online events because it's in essence a much more effective and efficient way of communicating and marketing your products and services to end clients, specifically in this time. Okay. Now I want to get into the convert phase. Okay, so in the convert phase, what we're looking at here is a couple things, and I won't go into too many details because a lot of you will have seen this, but we will share this deck with you so you can have a look at what this looks like and what this means. But in the convert phase, what we're trying to do, right? A lot of us are marketers, some are in a sales role, and some are more in a more overarching general manager or business owner role. But once we have a lead converted, right? Somebody downloads an ebook or requests to contact us or any type of conversion, maybe from a webinar or an event, right? A lot of us then hand it off to some type of sales organization if we have salespeople, or follow them up ourselves. Think about it for yourself. How does that follow-up currently look like? Yeah, what does that look like at the moment for most of you? For most of you, that will be a automated email. Hey, thanks for requesting a demo. Or hey, I saw you downloaded that ebook. Would you like to have a conversation with us? Or for the annoying ones around us, right? It's a cold call, say, following up on an ebook download, and you're saying, why are you calling me? I just downloaded an ebook. How do you recognize these? Especially now, you can't call anybody. And if you can, you're calling them to their home, which is a no-no, big time, right? So what happens here with a lot of organizations is that marketing puts so much effort in to generate these leads, nurture them until they're finally marketing qualified. But then when we're actually handing them off into maybe generating business opportunities for us, we either do it in this automatic, generic way that just get lost in the noise and in the busy lives of the prospects that have engaged with you, right? Or we do it in a worse way, which is intrusive. We actually get into people's way once they're busy. Maybe they're now at home, you know, they're working or they're trying to take care of their children. Now you're calling them, right? So what we're seeing is that there is a mismatch from a marketing and sales alignment in terms of qualified leads generated and actually good opportunities generated from those leads. And video is such a good bridge between those two things. Why? For a couple reasons. First of all, a lead is being generated, a salesperson now prospects and immediately shows your face, immediately humanizes your company, your brand. You're not just a name and a brand and a company, you're a face. You're a real human that is speaking right now. Secondly, especially now, given the time that we're in, people can't communicate too much in another way right now to show and go on face-to-face meetings or visit somebody at their office. So this immediately gives you an opportunity to still show who you are, right? And try to create that human connection, right? And thirdly, it is the best bridge to actually get people to become a qualified lead, but not necessarily people that want to speak to a salesperson, to still want to engage with your brand and maybe have a conversation with. Ebook downloads, right? They don't always convert into an opportunity, but an ebook download that then is followed up with a human, friendly, and nice face that says, look, I saw you download this specific ebook. Typically, that means you're trying to learn or work a bit more about that specific topic of that ebook. I'm here to help. Let's have a conversation. Hope you're staying safe. Hope all is well with you. Okay. And this is the example for the ones that were at Love Inbound. What we looked at, I'm not going to play it right now, but I'll send you this deck so you can look again at what a prospecting video can look like. So how we can actually bridge the gap between these marketing qualified leads and actual human connection while we engage with our customers. That immediately humanizes us and puts us a leg ahead, especially now in these times. Okay. Besides this example video, I hyperlinked a couple use cases of various companies that are using Vidyard and our free tool, basically, to create prospecting emails to clients and what it has done for them in terms of engagement, response rate, opportunity rates, and win rates. Okay, so one is HubSpot as an example, right? But there's a bunch of others, and these are all hyperlinked, so you can have a look at those later when we share this with you. Okay. So some of you already know, and what I also talked about in earlier talks is that video is not just for sales and prospecting, and maybe especially not for sales and prospecting because of where we are right now, right? But we can still start using video to communicate with existing customers of ours, right? One, to show empathy. Two, to maybe identify new opportunities for them, how they can deal with the crisis that they're currently in, and how your company and your services can help there, right? So there's a bunch of ways we can do that. We can make an introduction saying, I hope you're still keeping well, Mr. or Mrs. Customer. Is there anything I can do for you? I hope you're not struggling too much. We've put service X, Y, and Z together to help you do this or help you overcome this, right? It's a beautiful opportunity for you to, without selling, right, connect with your customers who are in the same boat as all of us, right? But now we actually give them an opportunity to show a human face in this interaction. Think about how many companies have sent out all this COVID, hey, I hope you're well, and all these kind of emails. At some point, we all got tired of it, right? How many of those have sent a video? A personal video of your account manager, or maybe of somebody that you've interacted with in the past? I would argue almost none. Think what that would mean for people if you really show a human face, right? In the same way that Ricky did this as well and invited you, saying a lot of you know how tough this is for you. How about we are going to help you out and see if we can give you some value? It's beautiful, right? And that is also an opportunity that you all have now to communicate with your customers, and you can do that for free as well. Okay, so we'll look at that in a moment. Other things that you can use is in proposal reviews and sending out quotes, etc. I won't touch too much upon it because some of these more generic sales kind of things might not be what your customers want to hear. But what your customers definitely want to hear is a human face that is truly caring about them as their clients, right? And how you could genuinely help them out. Now, if we look at retention, which is connected to this, right? Once again, you can look at customer success teams, or you can look at support teams. This is where video is very powerful. It's maybe just to shift away from like the whole crisis situation we're in, but more in general. We see a lot of customers, they have customer support teams with frequently asked questions and ticketing systems, etc., right? And what we find often is that, 70 to 80% of all questions and things that come into support or service teams are basically the same type of questions. They're frequently asked questions, right? And we see now more and more customers that are starting to videofy those questions. So they create knowledge banks where they, for example, answer common questions more effectively, like right here, right? Where they create a knowledge base with all kinds of pre-made videos, using the free tool, pre-made videos, answering specific questions that many of your customers might be having or asking right now, right? You might have COVID-19 related questions that you can answer based on a lot of emails that you're getting right now, but broader regarding your product, your service, your cancellation policies, etc. Okay, and we're seeing more and more of our customers are actually using it to create a video database where they show their face and answer questions in a standardized way. Another thing what we're seeing, but this is not relevant for every industry. This is relevant for industries and people around you that might have a bit more things to show, like software often, or specific processes that you can actually show, is to create videos of how-tos or answer complex questions, right? It's a much more effective way to create videos when something is a technical or complex question than going up and down. And now before you know it, you have an email thread of 20 emails because you're not completely understanding what the customer is saying. The customer doesn't understand exactly what the tech support person is saying. Instead of that, we see more and more companies that are starting to use video to actually reduce ambiguity, show literally how things work, right? Because of that, response times of tickets go down significantly, okay? Which then also means that we can actually improve customer success rates as well, because we're actually helping people to get self-serve answers or quick answers to their problems. Okay. So why we know this works well is because if you look at the top 5 most searched terms on YouTube, like what those search terms are, they are how-tos, how to do X, how to do Y. These are all videos. So let's use video tools here as well to give our customers how-tos and answers to their questions. Okay. A final example that I wanted to dive into right now is internal communications. Okay. And this is specifically relevant right now. So what I mean with internal communications is literally what it is, right? Communicating with your team, with your colleagues, with your boss, with all the departments, right? A lot of it is being done on a webinar tool or the screenshot like Zoom or the Microsoft tools or Skype, right? But not everything that you're communicating with your employees, your bosses, etc., needs to be on another Zoom meeting, right? We can, for example, deliver an important update message to your team. You can do that by video, saying, hey, how you have made, after having a board meeting, how you've made the decision to move forward, for example. Or a quarterly review or an or a forecast of how the next months are going to pan out, for example. And what you're doing here is by creating a pre-made video and sending it to them, you're giving your employees time back to actually consume that content whenever it suits them. Maybe in the end of the day, maybe first thing in the morning, instead of forcing our teams to be there at specific times in all these Zoom meetings right now. I mean, I'm back to back in so many Zoom meetings. I wish I had a bit more of that. I could just send videos out and asynchronously look at videos. Okay. A second thing where we see internal communications being used a lot with is in the collaboration with team members, right? Especially if some of you are working on specific projects together, right? We don't always need to go on a Zoom meeting to communicate with our team members, but still visually explain something or ask for something visually. So we see more and more teams that are making a quick video saying, hey, I just did X. I wondered if you can help me solve Y. Here's a quick video, 1 minute, and then just send it to their colleague via Slack or a chat tool or via email. Okay. And the last piece of these internal communications is to keep your videos secure. So some of you obviously already know this, but Zoom, even though I love Zoom, and I guess most of you love Zoom, there were some issues with data leakages, right? And there have been some other companies with passwords. I think with Microsoft, they might have some issues here. So the reason I'm mentioning this right now is because we, since last month, to help in this scenario, we created a free internal communications tool. Okay, so I'm going to send this on to you. It's until the June 30th that we're keeping it free. Afterwards, we're not exactly sure because we've just thought, let's give people access where they can send videos to their teams, to their bosses, to the wider organization in a secure way. So password encrypted. So you make sure that it can't get leaked, and you make sure that it's only viewable for the people that you actually want to have their eyes on versus other people. Okay, so I just thought I would mention it to you because it's a free tool that a lot of our customers are using right now. It is literally the exact same tool as the Chrome extension in terms of creating the video, and we're going to look at it in a moment how to do that. The only thing is that it's a separate part of our software, purely made to gate it with passwords and give specific permissions. So if this is something that might be relevant for you as you communicate with your internal team, colleagues, etc., give it a go, because it's completely for free for you to try that out. Okay. Before I show and do a recap of how to actually get started and make all these video examples that we just looked at, any questions? You are free to put it, because we are in a webinar mode, so I can't have you actually ask it out loud. But if you have any questions, feel free to type something in the chat. If not, we'll continue in a minute, and I'll show you how to get started and make a video.
Looks like we can just crack on with how to do it, Yaniv. I've got
Sure.
2 points, but I'll save my questions for the end. I've got a few.
Okay, sounds good. So 3 easy clicks to get started. For the ones that haven't seen me do a yo-yo show in Clitheroe on the stage and do a video afterwards. Creation of a video is literally 3 clicks, okay? So first thing that we would need to do is download the free Chrome extension for the ones that haven't done this yet. So one moment, Vidyard Chrome extension, okay? It's a completely free tool. And when I mean completely free tool, it means you can record an unlimited amount of videos, okay? There is no cap on length. We've tested if you start doing 10 hours worth of video, that might be a bit difficult, but if you wanna make something for half an hour, an hour or 2, you can create it, and you can create, and we host as many videos as you like, okay? So download this Chrome extension as a first step. Then step number 2, or actually the first step, which is the first click, is to open up the websites that you maybe want to reach out to in terms of prospecting. But if it's, for example, a webinar that you want to record, you can have your slides open right here, and you once again click on the webinar, right? And you can literally press record there in a moment, right? And we'll do that here. You can also do cam only if you're making maybe a message to your team that you're communicating, or maybe a message that you're inviting people to come to a webinar like Ricky did, right? Which is the landscape mode, which is just you on the cam. But let's say you, for example, would like to do a webinar and you want to walk and run through it. Second click is then that you would record it. All right, now it's literally recording, meaning in the top, I'm sorry, I hope the connection stays good because I'm on my mobile here. But either way, it's basically everything that we just looked at, right? So we can have a talk track and do our whole webinar around it. In the bottom right corner, it's recording right now. And we can go through our slides and do a webinar, an event, or a workshop, or anything that we can now pre or post record. Now, once we're done, we can actually create a video. So you press stop. And in a couple seconds, you'll have a video here ready to go. And we'll call it webinar recording. There it is. Okay, so now you can copy paste this and maybe put a thumbnail on a website that then would click onto. So you can take a picture and hyperlink it, this specific webinar that you just recorded. You can hyperlink it in an email, you can put it on your website, and then if people click on it, they would be brought to the actual page where they can consume the actual webinar here, which is a branded sharing page that you will have, a sharing page where they can actually consume and watch the whole video right here. And that's it. Okay. So to recap here, click number 1 is we open the little VBot, the little green Chrome extension. 2, we determine in the background what we want to record, right? Then click number 2 is we press record. And then when we're done recording, which is click number 3, we stop record, which then creates a sharing page that you can now either hyperlink with an image on a website or on an email, or you can, even if you want, share or push it straight into LinkedIn, onto YouTube, onto Twitter, etc., and push it into those channels as well. So as a LinkedIn example, I just opened Facebook by accident, but it's the same thing. We can choose to either push it to somebody personally, or we can share it onto a company page like you might have. Hey, here, we just recorded this webinar, you push it straight into LinkedIn as well. And that's all part of the free tool. Okay. Then finally, quick want to touch on measuring impact. So the first thing that what I mean with impact, and I'm just showing you, well, I'm showing you two things, and I want you actually to guide only and focus really on this type of email and not to this type, because this type of reporting comes with our paid functionality. So I don't want to focus too much on this, but you will get this type of notifications when you send emails personally to people. You'll actually see who's watching it and what percentage are they watching. So at some point you can see, oh, are they watching 100% of my video? Or are they maybe dropping off 5 to 10%? And then you can start using that information to determine, okay, is my content actually working, and adjust and optimize based on that as well. Okay. Before I let Ricky and everybody ask questions, I'm gonna hopefully see a couple of videos of people. I know that some of you I've seen here in the list are already making videos, so this should be easy for you. But some of you, it's also very easy to get started with it without any experience, as I just showed you. Okay, so the contest is very simple. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to ask everybody to make a 60 to 90-second personal video where they just introduce themselves. If you want, you can show your house, your background, your dog, your friends, your family, whatever you want. And then maybe in 60 seconds explaining what main problem your products or services are solving for customers. So what is it that you're solving for your customers? Okay. Then send your video to Ricky and I. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to select the best video or the most original one, the one that we think did best there. And I'm going to offer together with Ricky, we'll do a free video workshop for your entire team as the winner together, okay, where we're going to give you the free tools, give you all the best practices and everything you need to get started as part of everything that we just showed you. So we can show you a bunch of examples that you can get started with video as well. Okay, deadline for it is by this Friday, end of the week. Okay, so everybody has a week time to record a video and send it to us. So let's see how the Hollywood skills are coming out. I'm very excited about seeing some of those pass by in the inbox. And without that, that was it. I would love to open up some questions. Ricky, you might have had some questions there, or that you wanted to go through.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Yaniv. That was fantastic. If anyone's got any questions, please pop them in the chat. We've had one from Claire while you've been speaking. Claire was asking what the difference between the paid and free services on Vidyard. I know that's probably not an easy one-sentence answer, but if you could give a bit of an overview into the differences, and then maybe we can share with Claire. I know there's a good matrix which kind of explains the differences, but if you want to have a go at explaining that, that would be great.
Yeah, so I don't want to focus too much on it, Claire. If that's something that you find interesting, I could definitely give you an like a breakdown of it in a nutshell. Okay, on the marketing side of things, so when we're hosting videos, the paid functionality is all about customizability of call to actions. So creating all types of interactions within the video to drive conversions or drive people to specific events, or giving them various options what to do. But the most important with marketing is that it ties into a marketing automation system. So now if somebody watches a video, we can trigger a marketing automation workflow to nurture them on the content of that video, for example. If they watch 50% or they watch a specific topic, we can use that as a trigger and automation to nurture a lead further, or to notify a sales rep if they watch a demo video. That's where the paid functionality marketing comes from. On the sales side, it has to do with things you can do with the branded sharing pages. So in our free version, and that's why it's free, we brand it as Vidyard branded, and we don't give any functionality in terms of call to actions or like being able to put a calendar in the end of the video, which are things you will be able to do when you have paid functionality. So you can make this page look exactly like your website, have your calendar links in it, have additional resources, and also get some better analytics and understanding in those videos. And that's it for now. I guess high level, those are the major differences.
Great. Well, like I said, we'll share a bit of a resource which goes into a bit more detail.
Sure.
Anne-Marie had to jump off, but she was just asking for a reminder of what your extension was called that you were using to record the videos. So I just said it's Vidyard's sales extension.
Yeah. So you can, if you just type in Vidyard Chrome Store or screen and webcam recorder, you'll find it. Screen recorder Vidyard or Vidyard Chrome. extension, then you'll find it. They're all the same. It's just one.
Brilliant. We can pop the link in the follow-up email as well. We've had Russell, he asked, if you copy and paste a video into your website, can you set it to autoplay?
If you copy paste it into your website, if you have the free version, no, because the free version, well, you have some limitation. The free version means that you just put the image of the video on your website, and then it clicks and it directs you to the branded sharing page. I think there might be some functionality, but I'm not sure that you can put it to autoplay in the free version.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's only in the pro one.
I believe so.
Paul's asked a question. So what are your thoughts on sales pitches in the current circumstances? What type of video content would you advise sending out at the moment?
Hey, Paul, how are you? Good to see you here. Look, and I saw a couple of your own videos, and the name of the game, and the name of the game is not the right way of saying it, but the way you want to communicate is literally empathy, right? And genuine empathy. So you don't going over with your standard sales pitch, forget about it. That's for sure. That's for sure, right? But being empathetic and saying, hey, look, I have products or services. I know you're in a difficult time. I'd love to show you how in these times we're helping similar customers. They're in a similar scenario, and see if you think that might be useful for you too. Now you're coming in from an empathetic and a helpful perspective, which is the inbound marketing way of doing things anyways. Try to be helpful and empathetic. Forget about the hard sell. It's all about being empathetic and showing genuine care. And definitely not asking for a sale or anything of that kind, for sure.
Yeah, good advice. It's all about reading the room and understanding the situation that person's in at the moment, isn't it? And being as empathetic and helpful as possible. Next question, and I don't know the answer to this, so see if you do. Does the Vidyard extension work in Firefox?
Good question. From what I know, we don't integrate with Firefox. This is really a Chrome extension. I think I've seen once or twice somebody play around it. I just don't know if there's a resource on it. I'll check, but out of the box, no, it doesn't integrate with Firefox. Cool. So we're forcing you to use the Google Suite there. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I'll do some digging. If I find anything, I'll pop it in the follow-up. Jason asks, you showed the example of the webinar style video using the PowerPoint slides, the pre-recorded one. Would it be possible to do that inside a customer portal?
Yeah. So as long as the customer portal is web-based, right? So our Chrome extension basically allows you to record anything from a browser window. So if you can open up a portal or anything, we allow you to record anything. So from a slide deck all the way to a portal. So we would do HubSpot portal reviews or checks, and you can record it freely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we use it a lot for showing people how to do stuff on software. So you can record pretty much any software for sure.
Nice.
Chris is asking, does it have an app, or does it always have to be done by Chrome?
Yeah, so there is an app. I demoed it at Love Inbound. It's only iPhone though. It's only iOS. We'll build something for Android. So the iOS app means that you can also record it via your phone as well on the go too. But it is for now just a Chrome extension. So there is no separate desktop app yet. This is something that's being asked, but we don't have something out of the box for that right now.
Brilliant. Yeah, Yaniv's the king of the live demo. He's a much braver man than me. He got his iPhone out in front of us all, in front of a crowd of 100 people, and did a live demo of it on the app. So it certainly does work in that situation. And then the last question we got in is from Paul. He said, if he wins the video competition and becomes Hollywood famous, will you go to the Oscars with him?
Would I go what?
Would you attend the Oscars with him when he becomes video famous?
100%. 100%. I'll give you an Oscar shout out on social media if you win that. So that will definitely do that.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that, Yaniv. Thank everyone for their questions. My sort of top takeaways from that was the pre-recorded webinar. We'll do that with this one. So for anyone that missed it. I had, I think, 52 Zoom calls last week. So I'm going to try doing some Vidyard recordings instead of Zoom videos. I think that will really help for the situation I'm at the moment. Like you said, I'm receiving loads of these coronavirus related emails. Not one of them's had video on it. And if people are really wanting to show true empathy and caring, I think a video would go a long way to add into those. So we'll have a look at our marketing strategies on that. And then the last note is I will share the details of the contest and the slide deck as well with everybody after this. But that's it for today. Just remember, tomorrow, same time, same link, we've got Olivia from HubSpot. Like many of us, Olivia's had to switch to being a fully remote salesperson, and she's got a great talk planned about dealing with uncertainty. Obviously, uncertainty is a huge challenge for anyone in sales and marketing, so I can't wait what she's got to say. You should have the link for that already in your calendar. If you don't, email me, ricky@digital22.com, RIKKI@digital22.com, and I'll look into it for you. But that's it for today. I'll let everyone get on with their day. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and thank you to Yaniv for the brilliant talk.
My pleasure, everybody. We'll share this deck with all resources to get started. Happy to help with anything.
Thank you. Stay safe, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a great day. Stay safe. Bye-bye.